Welcome to Writing the Thing, the podcast in which I, Shaun Kitchener, chat to writers about the literal writing of their things. Today, I've got a real legend of continuing drama. She's written for several of the country's best known and best loved shows. It's the magnificent Jayshree Patel. So if you're new around here, hello, hi, make yourself at home, get comfy. This podcast is basically just born out of the fact that being a writer can sometimes be quite, I guess, solitary, and the fact that you don't often get the chance to just have a good chat with other writers, really, about what they've been working on, how they did it, what makes them tick, all that sort of stuff. So today I've got Jayshree Patel, who is such an icon. So we met on Hollyoaks, where she wrote a total of 69 episodes. Nice. She's also written for Casualty, Holby City, EastEnders, Waterloo Road, The Good Ship Murder, and The Lady Grace Mysteries. She is brilliant. During her time at Hollyoaks, she contributed to loads of massive storylines, including the huge one in 2019 that saw the character of Stee being groomed into joining the far right. And she also wrote the special Long Walk Home episode in 2022, in which the character of Maxine, played by Nikki Sanderson, was attacked while making her way home from a night out in Liverpool. That episode was such a moment. It got the show's first ever appearance on Gogglebox, where it went down very well. Award nominations, massive acclaim, the works. It was such a triumph. As I said, she's also written for The Good Ship Murder, which is Channel 5's brilliantly camp cozy crime, in which Shane Ward is a cruise ship singer who solves mysteries. I mean, what more could you possibly want from a show? She's also involved now with Waterloo Road and wrote several fantastic episodes, including the most recent series finale, which you may well have seen a scene from it going viral earlier this year. It was the school prom with these two teenage boys, love interests, one of whom is deaf, and the other one organised this sign language flash mob type thing to Rick Astley. It was so cute. An important thing to know about Jayshree as well is that she is just an absolute hero as a person. She is such a loud cheerleader for other people and for continuing drama as a thing. When I sort of nervously emailed her about doing this podcast, she replied in minutes saying yes, which just speaks to how generous she is with her time and her support. And she's a right laugh as well, as you'll hear. I spoke to her a few weeks ago when we were going through what we thought at the time was a big heat wave. Since then, we've obviously had an even bigger one. And I asked her about writing for some of those shows I just mentioned, what she thinks makes a good pitch in a writer's room, what it was like to have her work featured on Gogglebox, because that really was, I can't tell you how exciting that was. But first, Jayshree actually got into writing after working for many years as a secondary school teacher. And I've always known that, but I never really knew the actual specifics. So I asked her how exactly she went from that career to this one.
I had nothing to do with writing. Qualified as a teacher, worked for I think 17 years as a teacher.
Yeah.
And then it was like a weird thing between me and my husband, who was also a teacher. Yeah. We were both assistant heads, and we were both leaving the house at 7 and coming back at 7, and our kids were like little orphans, not being looked after. So we made this thing of we both can't be a high school teacher, an assistant head teacher, right, in a school and neglect and look after other people's children and neglect the 3 that we've got and we're supposed to be looking after. So we had this thing, right? We'll apply for deputy head jobs, and whoever gets it first can go on in their career. Yeah. And whoever doesn't has to take a step back and do a different kind of less demanding job.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's what
so
a fun
It's not the secret to a happy marriage, but that's what we did. Yeah. So we did that, and then he got it, and I was mad. I was really mad, because it was of course the white man got it. Why would they give it to the brown woman anyway? So he got it. So he went on to be deputy head and a head teacher. Right. Which was something I always really wanted to do. So I ended up being a lecturer at university, and no diss to lecturers at universities, but it wasn't for me. I wasn't feeling it in the same kind of way. Because apparently I like lining up 1,000 children for dinner in the rain and got a lot out of it. So I was like really like low, I guess, more than anything else.
Right.
And I was bored. And the other thing is teachers are kind of naughty and lecturers aren't.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't getting the same kind of like, it just wasn't as funny.
Okay, sure.
So I just weirdly just started writing jokes down that I couldn't say out loud.
Yeah.
So jokes that I couldn't say out loud in person at work, I just started writing them for some weird reason. And then one day, Shaun, I was doing some internet shopping like you do when you're depressed. And I was on Woucher. And then I saw this thing, which was like a script writing course, like a 1-day intensive course. And it was 25 quid. And I thought, that sounds like something I'm going to buy and not use. So I bought this £25 course thinking I'm not going to go to that, but I'll just buy it anyway. So I bought it. And then I got a reminder saying, oh, you've booked onto this course. And then I thought, oh, I'll just go. So I went and I really fell in love with the woman there called Beth McCann, who was just absolutely amazing. She was really funny and really down to earth. And it wasn't what I was expecting it to be like, because I thought it'd be a bit highbrow and everybody using big words that I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. But she was so nice and so inspirational. Then she said to me, look, I do a 1-day a week writing script group thing. Why don't you come along to it? And I thought, the kids were quite young then. And then I was like, I can't do this. It's, I haven't got time to do it. But then I found out it was on a Thursday evening, just across the road from where my girls do ballet on the same night.
Oh, wow. Dun, dun.
And I was like, I know. I thought, oh my God, this is fate.
Yeah.
So I dropped them off at ballet and then just go to the script writing class. And it wasn't a class. It was basically you go in, there's about 10 script writers, and you bring in 5 pages of script. And then, you choose who's going to read it out that night. And then everyone gives you feedback and go, that's amazing, or that was crap, or that was meant to be funny, but it wasn't funny, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. So you got all this feedback. And it was just fun. We'd all eat crisps all night, have a bit of a drink. And it was just like a really lovely atmosphere. So I got into it properly then. And then I was writing for them and I was getting so much joy out of I was always writing it like, and next episode, this is going to happen. It was just really fun to get that kind of immediate feedback, and everyone was dead honest. It was just really enjoyable. And then Beth took me aside and said, look, you could do something with this. You're really good at it, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of competitions. Why don't you enter them? And I was like, no, I'm just doing it for larks, all that kind of stuff. And then somebody else I used to know called, or still know actually, James Quinn, he does JB Shorts. He'd posted this competition, which was from Northern Writers. And it was a Channel 4 award, and it was Northern Writers. And on it, it was 10 pages of script, blah, blah, blah. So I entered it and then I won it, and it was just like, what the hell?
Amazing.
Yeah, it was really shocking that I'd won it. And then the prize was being placed at Hollyoaks.
Right.
So, I mean, what a prize. So it was like a year with Hollyoaks, and you got to go into conferences and pitch ideas and all of that kind of stuff. And then I met just like a whole group of really amazing friends, lifelong friends. And they offered me an episode eventually because, I was really crap when I started because I actually didn't know the basic things. And I was almost like, what's stage direction? So, I didn't have a clue what was going on. But I think what happened, it was fortuitous in a way for me because they were doing the far right story. And they wanted my kind of input in terms of that. And Brian Kirkwood was very interested in my sort of kind of take on it. And not just in terms of, the Asian family who were being racially abused. It was more about why Steve joined the far right. And what was his journey, because I kind of said to him that, the character Steve kind of reminds me of a lot of the white working class boys that I used to teach.
Of course.
Who were the best kids in the world. They'd always be offering to carry your bags and all of that kind of stuff. And then, 10 years later, you might see them posting far right stuff. On Facebook, and you'd be like, shit, how did that kid who used to carry my bags? I go, Miss Patel, can I give you a hand? Go from there to that. That was the interesting part of the journey for me. So that's what I said to Brian, and Brian was like, that's it, that's the story. So that really made a difference, I think, in terms of my career and how it kind of took off, I guess.
Oh,
so I've got the racist to thank when you think about it, Shaun.
Thank God for racism.
Thank God for racism. Without you, I wouldn't have a career.
Oh God. I don't remember I kind of remember when we first met, but I can't remember if it was like a commissioning meeting or a story conference or something. But I do remember from the jump, you were just very great at. It's so weird hearing you say you didn't know what you were doing when you first started, because that's absolutely. I just can't. That doesn't tally with my brain at all.
Do you know what that is, Shaun? That's teaching.
Right.
Because sometimes you walk into a classroom, especially subjects that I used to teach, because my degree was in sociology, but I taught stuff that actually I didn't always know stuff about.
Right, of course.
So,
yeah.
I haven't got a qualification in RE, not even a GCSE, but I used to teach RE.
Right.
So then you'd be like a bit ahead of the kids in that sense. So you'd be like doing your research beforehand. And then obviously, the kids hate it if you're underconfident as a teacher. You've got to really be kind of like, I know my stuff and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So you'd be going in really kind of like overconfident and really kind of this is this and that's that, because if you're not doing that and you're like, well, I'm not really sure what buddies say about that, they'll be like, I'm going to fail my GCSE. So you have to have a bit of false bravado, I think, when you're a teacher a lot of the time. I'm not doing teaching a good sell here. All teachers are really great. I was just...
Oh, no. It's really funny. He won't mind hearing me say this, but I love hearing stories about like my husband, who's a drama teacher, coming home and being like, I had to do maths today. I was like, I can ask you a question that I don't know.
So, well, that's it. But then you do have to be the all-seeing, kind of like all-knowing creature when you're a teacher. So I think in a way,
you investigate that? Why don't you have a look at how?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let's see what. I mean, mine was spelling. I wasn't like the best speller a lot of the time. And then you'd misspell something on the board, and then it'd be like, Miss, you spot that wrong. Well, I'm glad you spotted that. That was a trick. You know, I think that's it. That kind of like skill of being able to sort of be confident. I think really sort of helped in conference. And once you've taught like year 9 and year 10 naughty boys, you've managed to keep them in the seats.
You've won.
Then everything else is all right.
There's so many great memories I've got of you, pictures of. Look, you're one of those people who, when you pitch, people lean in. They're like, "Oh, Jay's got one." Everybody like, this is going to be. When you're in a room and you're listening to stuff, and what makes you as a writer look or listen to something and think, "Oh my God, I love that."
So I think it's not just the story. So it's not just like the plot. This is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. Even though that might be really cool and really plotty and really hooky, I think the bit that sells it is the story behind the story. So what always gets me sitting up and listening is when somebody's telling the story about what they want to do, but then they tell you the reason behind the story, like why they think it's an interesting story, what it is in their life that push them towards this story. What did they notice? Because I'm interested in people. So if they talk about their own life as to why they came up with that story, then that gets me interested. So you did it when we were at that Waterloo Road conference, when you were pitching and you talked about your husband. And you had that lovely photo of him and all that kind of stuff. And
he loved that, by the way. It's my photo.
But, I mean, obviously looked great in that photo, but when somebody tells something human connected with the plot and connected with the hooks, then that makes it interesting for me. That's what makes me kind of like lean in and go, that's a really interesting story. And even if it's not to do with their own personal life, I also think why tell the story is really important. So, it isn't just, as I said, about the hooks, but it's about the thinking, almost like the academic reasoning sometimes behind the story, why we tell this story now. So if I'm pitching, I always try and make sure that there's a personal element in there, that there's something about this story that I'm connecting with that I think is interesting, even if it's something that you've seen on the telly yourself, or something that that you've liked somewhere, or you saw a woman at the bus stop and you thought this about them. That kind of thing just I think helps bring the story alive and helps you kind of like visualize it. a lot more. So that's what makes me interested. Therefore, assuming that's what other people are interested in. So it's like it's selling the story, not just convincing people that the plot is interesting or the hooks are interesting.
Yeah, it's really easy to get bogged down, isn't it? And like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and like those minutiae detail. And that not that isn't a thing, but like, like what? But why?
But why?
What do I feel? What am I watching? Like, you wrote so many great things at Hollyoaks. You did obviously the far right story, straight in with the far right story, which is amazing. But then there's stuff like the Long Walk Home episode. I remember, which that was on Gogglebox. That was amazing. That was so cool. What was your experience of seeing those episodes have an impact in the world? Did you get to experience much of that? What was that like?
So, I mean, I love that. I love immediate reaction.
Yeah.
And one of the things I used to do is like, this is really sad. I don't know whether you used to do this, Shaun, but when I used to watch my episodes, I used to have like Twitter, as it was back then, on at the same time. Oh, and I'd watch the comments live.
Oh, God, absolutely never. No, never would do that. But great, though.
It's scary to do that, but I used to really, really love it. And when it was like the far right episodes and when it was the Long Walk Home, that was massive. That was so exciting just to see that kind of like live, immediate feedback straight away.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the Gogglebox thing, that was massive. That's like a proper career highlight because that Channel 4 aren't allowed to say to Gogglebox, you have to like this program because it's Channel 4. It is literally, they watch it and the comments are the comments. Yeah. So I was so scared and I was like that, what if they don't like it? What if they don't like it? And then they loved it. And I was just like that the entire time. And then as soon as it finished, Heather Robson rang me and she was crying and she was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that was huge. And that was like a really massive, a really sort of happy moment. But that was one of those things as well that I really believed in that story because I pitched it quite a few times. And then it was like, right, okay, let's do it. But like the team then was so behind it. It was like unreal, absolutely unreal. Like Emma Bodger, who was one of the producers at the time, directed it. And she was just, honestly, she fought for it so much because I was like, I don't want it to be Maxine walks home from the dog. You know, I don't want it to be that. It's got to be huge. We've got to film it in Liverpool. It's got to have proper Scouse girls in it, all that kind of stuff. And she really fought for that because as a writer, you don't always get to influence that in the same kind of way. Right. But Lucy and Jayshree were both like really behind it as well. And it became like a real kind of like woman thing. Yeah. We had an all-female crew. They invited me to the filming of it and all of that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. And obviously Nikki Sampson was just amazing. I think she gave such an amazing performance. But I got so many like comments and people messaging me saying it was like a really important story to tell. And I got like, it obviously got like shortlisted for awards, but that wasn't the important bit. It was just like the bits that people kind of like said to me that it really sort of meant something to them. And the best ones were like men contacted me saying they really hadn't thought about their behaviour a lot of the time. And that was like really huge. And don't forget, this was before like, toxic masculinity became a phrase that was commonly used and before adolescence and all of that kind of stuff. So that felt really, really massive to be able to have that kind of like impact and to be able to see that kind of impact. Yeah. And, there's a rape charity that actually has it on their front page of their website, a link to the episode, which is huge. But even like with the far right episodes, Hollyoaks had worked with this organisation called Small Steps, which is a charity that helps people who've joined the far right leave the far right, if they want to. And on the nights of when Steve trying to leave the far right aired, we had a spike in people wanting to leave.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's just huge, and that just makes you go, oh my God, we did that as a team. We kind of like achieved that just by somebody thinking of a story and going, this is a story I want to tell. and then it has that kind of impact.
Brilliantly, yeah, it's so good. I remember that Long Walk Home one in particular. I'm sure no one would mind me saying like that arrived at a time when the show felt like it was on quite like shaky ground-ish, and then this massive thing. It was like, oh my god, yes, this is why this show is important. This is the kind of thing that is engaging people massively. It's on freaking Gogglebox. It felt like a real like moment. And then you are a big common denominator here in all of these because you're just so good at them all. And it's not just like those big sort of powerful stories that you do so well as well. You also do like really like funny, heartfelt stuff and just humanity generally. Like the finale of the last series of Waterloo Road with the prom and that dance routine in the prom. For anyone who hasn't seen it, you have to see it. It's so beautiful. That was so lovely.
I loved that Waterloo Road episode. That was like, It was really cute. But I think that was a lot to do with the acting as well and the authenticity of the acting. It was really, really sweet. Danny Murphy, who was the guy who was signing, there's such authenticity in the way that he delivers.
Yeah.
I was actually there when it was getting filmed because they invited me in, and I was sitting there on the prom table going, It was really, really lovely. And it's inspiring to be able to work with good teams as well. So it doesn't always sort of like come down to you as a writer. If everyone's kind of like really up for the same thing as you, it really makes for a really nice experience for everybody. And, it's not like that it's like that all the time. It can be quite lonely, I guess, at times. Yeah. So when you have those kind of like highlights, it really does kind of like see you through for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
I suppose. But I think... Yeah, I think that one was definitely an acting thing. It was, and obviously Rick Astley. You can't go wrong with Rick, can you?
Well, no, if in doubt.
If in doubt, it was going to be Rick or Kylie, and they're all going to be good.
When Waterloo Road first came up, was the school of it all? Was that a draw, or was there a bit of people that was like, oh crap, not a school? Come on.
I was well excited because, like, obviously when Waterloo Road started, I was like a proper teacher, and I felt actually this feels quite like authentic in terms of a portrayal of a school. So when it came up, like when my agent called me and said, oh, they want you to work for them, I was like, oh my God, yes, that's my dream job. Yeah, I was like really, really excited. And then I think the problem for me is because I've started writing my own stuff now.
Yeah.
The problem for me is my head always just goes to school all the time.
Right.
So when I'm trying to write something, so I'm writing some police thing at the moment, but it starts off in a school lockdown because you just can't take me away from it because my entire adult life, well, if I think about it, my entire childhood and most of my adult life was spent in a school. So it's like part of me. So I like always think like a teacher.
Yeah.
I think I mother like a teacher a lot of the time. I'm a friend like a teacher, as my friends will tell you. And like, I'm always advising and mentoring even when they don't want it. You might have found that yourself, but that's just what I generally do. And I think it's just part of you as a person. Sorry.
You are great. No, you are an amazing... This leads me on to what I was going to say as well, is that one thing that's great about you that so many people will back up as well is that you do have that great sort of supportive... looking out for other writers. How can we help other writers? How can I reach out and tell the other writer they're great? That makes all the difference as a writer, doesn't it? In like a profession like this, when it is quite isolating to have people like reach out and... I don't know, be supportive of each other. Yeah. Do you have people like that? Because you are very good at that.
No, I mean, when I first started in writing, I have to say I was really kind of like shocked and surprised as to how supportive people were towards you as a new writer. Because I remember being in that first conference and I was really obsessed with Heather Robson before I started as a writer. I just absolutely loved her. And I was sat next to it in my first conference and I was like,
oh my God.
And I was like that. And I couldn't speak to her because I was so in awe of her.
Right.
And then she just looked at me. She went, are you new? And I went, yeah. And then she teared off this like, you might as well have been a fag paper, but she teared off this like piece of paper, wrote her email on it and just gave it to me. If you need anything, just let me know. And I just thought, oh my God, Heather Robson just given me an email. And I was so happy. And then obviously I had a mentor in Kevin Rundle.
Yeah.
But like, James Coleman was lovely to me and gave me his email and said, send me your first script. I'm happy to look at it if you want.
Amazing.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I don't know whether that was exclusive to Hollyoaks. As in, I don't know whether Hollyoaks at that point was like a really friendly place to be, and the writers were really super friendly. I don't know whether I would have got that anywhere else necessarily, because obviously I've been in a few writer rooms in a few places and not necessarily experienced the same level of love and caring that I experienced at Hollyoaks back then, because I think it was just incredibly friendly and jolly, and there was so much like laughter in the room. And I was like, so when I got to a position where I could help other people, I was like more than happy to do that, and really kind of, I guess, took it upon myself to say to new writers, if you need a hand with anything, here's my number, call me, or text me or whatever, because it's just important for like people to feel comfortable, because the thing that I really liked about Hollyoaks back then is it felt like a very non-competitive environment, whereas I think sometimes in other places it feels like my pitch has got to be better than their pitch because you're in direct competition with each other. Whereas I think back then it never really felt like that. It was more of somebody would pitch something and then you would think about what was great about that pitch and how it might complement your pitch, or even how it might be a better version of your pitch.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's important to say that if somebody's done a version of something that you were going to pitch and yours is shite in comparison, I think if you say in that conference, mine was shite, I was going to pitch something, but that's better, that makes everybody relax and go, oh, this is a friendly and warm environment. And then everyone just ends up working at their best then, rather than feeling like they're in competition with each other. And that makes for good writing, in a sense.
You are. I do remember multiple instances of you just helping to set the tone there, like even in rooms where that wasn't necessarily starting at the top, you would make it. People like you, like so many people at Hollyoaks, but you especially would sort of bring it. All we had was each other sometimes. And
absolutely.
Nice, not for variety of reasons, but Yeah, wonderful. Have you encountered much outside of soap world? Have you encountered much sort of soap snobbery from other writers or elsewhere in the industry, or have you found that to be something that's not so much of a thing anymore?
I think there's loads of snobbery about soap out there, and you see it like really constantly. Actually, you even see it in like if you go and do talks at universities and colleges and stuff like that, you can see people a bit like, well, I'm not going to be writing continuing drama. You can see a lot of that, but obviously soon let them know what I think about that.
Oh yes.
But I think, when you have people like Russell T Davies, who I met incidentally a couple of weeks ago, he's lovely, he's so tall.
Right.
He's twice the size of me, I know, I'm sure. But he had to I said, let's have a picture. And he had to fold himself in half to get to my height. But he's always, as a really talented writer, really successful writer, he is always banging the drum for soap. And I think that's really important. And he said once, he was at an award ceremony and he'd won something or other. And he was talking about the film Barbie, when Barbie was out. And he was saying, it's such a great film. People have learned so much from the film, blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're talking about it like it's a cultural phenomena, which, it was back then. And then he said, but more people watch EastEnders on a Tuesday night than have ever watched the Barbie film.
Yeah.
So that show, which I think is brilliant. And I say it all the time to these university students of like, this is what you've got to remember when people think that soap is irrelevant. Yeah. Soap actually does change people's lives and get people to think in a different way. And it's things like, I always think so say Succession was a brilliant show. Yeah. Any script writing student has always watched Succession because it's held up there as a massive example of how to do writing, how to create character, blah, blah, blah. And I agree with all of that. However, can anyone say that Succession changed their life? Right. Or made them think differently about anything? No, they can't. It was just a really enjoyable, fun show. But it doesn't change anyone. Whereas Soul, I still think is capable of changing people's soul. It's capable of making people feel differently about things or behaving in a different way. So that I think soap is definitely relevant, but equally at the same time, I do agree that it is seen, with a lot of snobbery, particularly by people in our industry, it has to be said. And when you're wanting to write for other things, you really have to fight a bit of prejudice. That you've, written 60 episodes of Hollyoaks, and sometimes that's seen as more of a hindrance than a help, which is really, really disappointing when you think that you're used to quick turnarounds, you're used to working as a team, you're used to getting a phone call on a Friday saying this actor that this entire episode is about is no longer available. Can you rewrite it for next Monday? And you're used to responding to that. It's a massive skill set.
Oh God, yeah.
But it's not necessarily respected and appreciated by everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes, on the flip side of that, there's a lot of producers who do recognise the absolute kind of like rolling with the punches that soap writers can do, that a lot of other writers can't do. So it can actually work the other way a lot of the times. But also sometimes if you're pitching ideas in other rooms, sometimes they go, that's a little soapy.
Right.
Which I think is interesting, because you'd never take the soap out of me. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I could be writing an Oscar-winning film, but there'll be elements of Hollyoaks in there for sure.
If I had a penny for every review of the Steps musical that was like slightly soapy plot, and I'd be like, and yes, thank you.
I know, thanks for that.
Many thanks for that.
As a fellow soap opera, you can see it, and that's what I absolutely bloomin' loved about your musical. I could feel you in every single scene. Now, honestly, we were sitting in that row, me and all the other writers, and we were grinning from ear to ear, because it was like, this is Shaun's baby. This is just. And it had so much like Hollyoaks sort of vibe about it, the vibrance and the fun element. It was great.
Oh, wow.
We absolutely loved it. And do you know what it was? It was inspirational, Shaun.
Oh,
it made
shut your mouth.
No, it was, because it made us go, oh, I want to write a musical.
Right, yeah.
It was amazing. It was so good.
No, the fact that you guys were all there is again speaks to the nice community of it. And I never encountered any personally, but it's interesting starting off when I was first starting out at Hollyoaks and going through that, like hearing of other writers that would be like, I might do it. I'll do it for a bit, and then I'll go off and do something else. Like, it's not really what I'm going to be doing. And they would not last 2 minutes. It's so hard. Like, you think you're above it at your own peril, because it's a whole, mindset.
I think people who see soap as a stepping stone are very problematic for me. Even if you think it, just shut up and don't make it obvious exactly. That's what you're doing. Have the good grace to like. It's like that thing I always say, like when I say to the students, so, if a fortune teller came to you and told you that you were going to your fifth child was going to be really successful and was going to invent a cure for cancer, and you knew that was going to happen, would you still love your first child? Yeah, you would. Okay, right. So that's why you need to love soap, no matter what you're going to end up going to do. So whatever job you're in at the moment, you love that, and that is the best thing that you could ever do. You've always got an eye on somewhere else. You're a bit of a tosser, to be honest.
It's true.
It's true.
It's just a shame that it's all like they are still, aren't they? Like, you look at like I know ratings across the board are shrinking for every show everywhere, but like you still look at like iPlayer, ITV, like whenever a Waterloo Road box set drops, straight to number one. EastEnders on any given day, straight at number one. Like, same for like on Channel 5, I think Home and Away is like up there. Like most days, like it's just a shame, like the budgets are being squeezed so much that like for people that are coming through now, like how are they getting in? Like, I guess it's like these schemes and things. We need more of them. I don't bloody know.
Yeah, I think it is tricky. And I think, obviously for Hollyoaks, it was going down from 5 episodes to 3, which had a massive impact on the numbers in the writing team. And, I think soaps are expected to do more on less. And I think that's really, really problematic, because obviously the cast has got to reduce significantly, which means, there's less story to tell, and the cast become less diverse, writing rooms become less diverse. So often you end up with a situation where the stories that are told may feel a bit, I don't know, singular maybe at times, and maybe they have to work harder to make sure that diverse, and I don't mean diverse in a narrow sense, but diverse stories are being told.
Well, I don't know what the answer is there, but do it.
No.
Everybody do it. It's above our pay grade.
It's just for us to moan about, not do anything about. That's our pay grade.
I have to quickly ask about Good Ship Murder, because I love that show so much.
Oh my God,
how have you found being in like the cozy? Would we file that under cozy crime? I mean,
definitely 100% cozy.
Rompy crime.
Campus tits, yeah.
I love it. How have you found it?
Yeah, loved it. I mean, the concept for me of an ex-police officer who is now a cruise ship singer who solves crimes. That's going to be the most camp thing that's ever been invented.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's loads of fun. I think the thing about cozy crime, which makes it different from soap, is that you have to come up with the storyline yourself. You don't pitch in the same kind of way. You pitch as an individual.
Right.
Usually not in a room. Or if you do, it's with one other writer and the rest of the production team.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the bones of that story there already.
Right.
So mine was like, the original one I pitched was about swingers, of course.
Yeah, great.
So I had like pineapples.
There's got to be an element of the personal in all these. In all these.
So mine was about swingers, and they loved it, and they thought it was really, really great, and they'd okayed it, and the channel had okayed it. But we're connected to a cruise ship who went, no. Okay. We can't have people thinking people go on cruises and go swinging. So you're going to have to change the story. So we had to change it really sort of last minute. And then we came up with the widows who are drug dealers.
Oh, story. Yes. Oh, my God. Yes. Incredible.
Which was really,
so fun.
Beautifully camp as well. I mean, to be honest, if I'm honest, I find cozy crime hard.
Yeah.
Because you do have to be a bit scientific about things, and the plot has got to be like without holes. And I think some people are more scientifically minded than I am.
Yeah.
So I found it challenging to do that. I think I find crime easier than cozy crime, because you have to be so formulaic with cozy crime. You find something, and then you've got to find a reason to dismiss that, but the dismissing of that then leads you on to the next clue, etc. So it kind of like works like that. And I'm more of a messy brain than a logical step-by-step brain, so I can do it, but it's not as easy for me as doing actual other writing.
Yeah. Oh, it just seems like such a fun world to be immersed in. Like, so lovely. Yeah. Brilliant. What was, just ask you then, what was the last thing you watched that you were like, God damn, I wish I'd written that, or that you found like really inspirational, or in like on a writing level?
I do love TV. I think that, this was ages ago actually, but the show I'd wished I'd always written was Sex Education.
Oh,
because I was a sex ed teacher.
Oh, you'd have been great. Yeah, just do it again. Write it again.
Well, I really want, this is my plan. So I've got something which I'm like developing, which is basically sex education, but in prison.
Oh, great.
So it's like a young person's prison, and somebody's got this idea of making it like a joint gender prison, but it's a fun, almost futuristic type of prison, and it's all sex ed, but in prison. That's the thing that I think, oh God, I wished I'd got into writing beforehand and written something like that, or been able to write an episode of that, something like that, because it's like my kind of sense of humour, the way I see young people and all of that kind of stuff, and like my experience of teaching it as a subject. It was like some of the funniest times of my life with teaching sex ed to like year 9 kids. They're just incredible and just funny without like trying even. So I think that's the thing that I'd wish that I'd written.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, well, thank you so much for doing this on a billion-degree day. I don't know what it's like in your place, but
it's ridiculous. It's like we've had 2 sunny days this year, and this was one of them. I spent it with you, Shaun.
Wow, thanks. She really is just so wonderful to know, to have worked alongside, to be a fan of. Thank you so much, Jay, for coming on here on a very warm day and giving us some pearls of wisdom. It was so fun to chat. Right, so this is normally when I wrap up by giving a couple of recommendations of stuff that I've loved this week. So I'm going to start off with this rom-com on Netflix that's gone absolutely stratospheric. It's called Voicemails for Isabel. It's written by Leah McKendrick, and it's like, I feel like we say this every couple of years. We say rom-coms are so back, but honestly, rom-coms are so back with this one. The chemistry between the two leads is so good, and it does have... I was comparing it to Dear Evan Hansen, the musical, in the fact that you kind of have to get on board or kind of bear with the fact that one of the leads does a bit of an icky thing. You kind of just have to roll with that. But it's just so funny, and the soundtrack is banging. And as I said, the chemistry between the two of them is great. I did cry, I think, at least a couple of times at it. I'm a sucker for a good rom-com. A bad rom-com really annoys me because I think a good rom-com, you just absolutely can't beat it. And this is a really good rom-com. So that's Voicemails for Isabel, which is on Netflix. Also going to shout out Proud, this new Polish series that's just landed in the UK on HBO Max. New episodes are dropping weekly. There's been 3 so far. It's created and co-written by Karol Klementowicz. It is about this very messy gay model who's a bit off the rails, but spoiler alert, his older sister dies, and he sort of is left caring for his very young niece. So it's a very cool sort of concept. It's shot really nicely. It's written really well. I have to say, though, I'm watching it through Now TV, and I haven't figured out how to not watch it with the dubbed English audio. No offense to these actors, they are great, but I do prefer watching it with the original audio and the subtitles, you know what I mean? So if anyone knows how to do that on Now TV, please do let me know, because I can't seem to find a way to do it. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Writing the Thing, and I'll see you next time with another glorious writer.